Alright guys, before we start the video real quick, I messed up. I didn't have my microphone turned on when I was recording these videos, or this video, and I don't really want to do it all over again, but I have the camera audio. So if the audio is a little off today, it's not my normal microphone, it's actually through my camera, so I synced it up right, so you'll see. Again, it's just the audio might be a little bit off today, but everything else is going to be the same. So enjoy the college basketball best bets. Alright, we're back for our daily college basketball best bets here on Thursday, January 16th. Yesterday, not a bad day, not a great day, but a good day. You know, back-to-back profitable days here on the channel. We were very close for breaking out for a great day yesterday. Colorado almost completed that comeback at home against Cincinnati. It is what it is, and Utah State blew it at the end of the game yesterday in Nevada against UNLV. But all around, a good day. Cleveland State with a sweat-free win. Army pulling it out at the end, and Iowa State not even close in Ames against the Kansas Jayhawks. So a 3-2 day yesterday, looking for some more success today here on Thursday. And folks, if you have not yet though, make sure to hit that subscribe button down below for some more daily college basketball best bets here on the channel. It just helps out the channel a lot if you hit that subscribe button down below and leave a like. That's all I ask y'all to do as we get on now to our 5 best bets for college basketball today. Also, go make sure to check out our daily NBA predictions. That is going to be posted within the next hour on the channel as well. Also, we already have our UFC 311 predictions on the channel with Islam Makhachev and Arman Tsarukyan in the main event this weekend from the Intuit Dome in Los Angeles, California. And later today, we'll have our NFL divisional round predictions. Obviously, the final 8 in the NFL, those 8 teams, and we will predict those 4 games for you later on the channel today, probably around 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern. Okay, let's get into the first of our 5 best bets for college basketball today, and we start off in the American Conference for a big-time game on ESPN2 between the Memphis Tigers and the Temple Owls. Give me Temple at home to cover. Now, to win the basketball game, I think Memphis probably gets it, but I don't mind Jamal Mashburn and Temple at home here to cover 8.5 points. I think it's a lot. I really think so, especially the way that Temple's been playing recently, right? Temple, a 2-1 team in the American this season, their only loss being a 1-point loss on the road in East Carolina to the Pirates. The other two games they played this season, a win over Wichita, who the Shockers have been very disappointing in American play this season. And I think the American Conference is one of the conferences, honestly, we've talked about the least here on the channel. But Wichita, I mean, had a really good start to the year, and they've really been just disappointing as they've started conference play. But Temple was able to beat them. They went on the road their last game. They went to Texas and beat Rice. Temple now a 2-1 team in the American Conference. And again, that lost East Carolina, a 1-point loss. Hell, you go back to their game at home a couple weeks ago against URI, Rhode Island, again, another team that got off to a really hot start. They're still playing good basketball though. Lost Rhode Island by 6 points. Again, that would cover this line here against Memphis. I don't give a damn personally who wins the basketball game, right? We're not playing that. We're playing plus 8.5 Temple, a team at home with Jamal Mashburn Jr., who again is everything for this Temple team. Mashburn with 21 points per game. Yeah, it's really all he does for Temple, but that's fine. That's all we need him to do for the Owls. You get Steve Settle as well. Steve Settle III is averaging 11 points a game. Zion Stanford, who averages 11, and Quante Berry, who averages 10. And again, Settle's going to be your guy who's going to be on the glass. You know, Berry, I guess, mans the offense, either him or Mashburn. But again, I don't mind Mashburn in this spot. Again, if we're picking Temple, we are putting a lot of eggs in the Jamal Mashburn basket. For the Memphis Tigers, this is a 13-3 team. Are they the best team in the American Conference? Pretty much. I think you'd be hard-pressed to say another team is. I mean, you could say, I guess North Texas has been playing some good basketball this season, but Memphis did beat North Texas earlier in the year by 4 points a couple games ago. You can make the case maybe UAB, who's had a really hot start to American League play. But no, the best team in the American Conference is Memphis. Obviously, they are ranked number 18 in the country. It makes sense. Memphis has lost 3 games this season to the best team in college basketball, the Auburn Tigers. The weird ones, Arkansas State. Again, yes, the Red Wolves went into Memphis and beat Memphis. And then the loss to Mississippi State, who's been not great recently in the SEC, but since that Mississippi State loss, Memphis beat Ole Miss, they beat FAU, they beat North Texas, and they beat East Carolina. Again, Memphis perfect so far in the American Conference. They are 3-0. But hear me out. In back-to-back games in the American Conference, they've played at home, and they've played very competitive basketball games. They beat North Texas by 4 points. They beat East Carolina by 4 points. And it's not like East Carolina's been running through teams. This is a team that is 1-4 in the American this season, a team that is 9-9 as a whole this year. And again, Memphis beat them by 4 points. Well, you know, Temple played them really close and they went to East Carolina and only lost by 1. So again, I really think this is a good line for us here. Plus 8.5 for Temple. We just need Jamal Mashburn to have a big night, and he's been doing that in pretty much every single game he's been playing recently. Mashburn putting up 24 points in two out of the last 3 games. The other game that he played against East Carolina, he put up 22 points. So again, if Mashburn can get it going, I think we're fine here with the Temple Owls. They are at home in this basketball game and they're getting 8.5 points. I really don't mind it at all. Again, Temple will play a lot of ISO ball. I mean, hell, Jamal Mashburn led them in assists last game with 1. That's not a joke. That's for real. But it's okay. Again, that's how Temple plays. They put the ball in their best player's hands and let him work. And again, that's what we're going to need here out of Jamal Mashburn. We're going to need a great effort tonight out of him if Temple's going to cover this line, which I think they will. I think this line should be placed more at the plus 5.5, 6.5 point range, but we're getting it at 8.5. Again, if you press me on a winner of this basketball game, sure, I will take Memphis. I think Memphis is the team that probably will win this game. As you see on the screen, again, we're taking minus 380 for Memphis, but again, I'm not playing that personally. I think, again, it is a competitive basketball game that Memphis goes on the road and they just edge out. Pause. They edge one out at Temple. Yeah. Again, sure, Memphis has been playing good basketball 4 in a row, but again, back-to-back games in the American Conference, they've played very close outings. Sure, they won those games, but they were competitive. PJ Haggerty, great basketball player, averages 22.5 this year. Tyrese Hunter's been good all year. Colby Rogers. They've got some good players on Memphis, and I'm not denying that, but they've been playing really close ball in American League play recently, and I do think Temple, with this game being in Philadelphia, is able to stay really competitive with Memphis. And again, 8.5 points to me just feels like a lot. It's a big spot for Temple. You know those guys are going to be fired up to play this game. They get it at home, and I think the Owls cover the 8.5 points here at home against the Memphis Tigers. Let's move on to our second game of the video, and yes, we go to some small school basketball, but a spot that I like. We go to Hampton, Virginia for the Hampton Pirates taking on the William and Mary Tribe. Give me the Tribe on the road. Guys, William and Mary 4-0 this year in the CAA. This is very similar to a spot that we had yesterday with Cleveland State. Now again, Cleveland State was at home in that game, and personally, I thought the game was mispriced yesterday with the Cleveland State Vikings. That's just me. They won the game by 18 points against the Northern Kentucky Norse. They were only getting 3.5 points at home. Again, I thought it was a completely mispriced basketball game, and that's what happened. I'm not saying this line is as mispriced as the Cleveland State game yesterday, but it's a line that really makes sense here to pick William and Mary. Guys, this is a 4-0 team this year in the CAA. 10-7 as a whole, and sure, is Charleston the best team in the CAA conference? Likely. Elon's pretty good as well. They're on the road today, but this is the game I like the best today off the CAA, and hell, William and Mary beat Elon earlier on the year by 13 points. But William & Mary goes on the road. They take on Hampton, and a Hampton Pirates team that's lost 3 out their last 4 basketball games. Sure, they're coming off a win over Delaware, but it's not like Delaware is anything special this year. Prior to the Delaware victory, 3 straight losses to Charleston on the road, Elon on the road, and Campbell at home. Again, you can say Charleston and Elon, 2 of the better teams in the CAA. That's fair. Campbell, though, the Campbells are definitely not on that same, again, they're not on that same level as Charleston and Elon are, and they got that game against Elon at home, or sorry, against Campbell at home, and the Pirates ended up losing that game by 11 points, more than when they went on the road and played Elon. So I really don't think Hampton's all that impressive this season. You look at their overall body of work, they're a 9-8 basketball team, 2-3 in the CAA, but really take a deep dive into the teams that they've played. They lost to George Washington on the road, lose to Providence on the road, lose to Norfolk State at home, they lose to Boise, lose to High Point, beat Duquesne, beat North Carolina A&T, beat Howard, beat UMBC. I mean, it's really like Delaware. There's not one, game you can just go, I'm going to point to it, and that's a big victory for the Hampton Pirates. There really isn't that this year for them, and I really don't think this team's all that great. They're led by Noah Farakin, who's averaging 13 points a night. You get George Beal Jr. averages 12.5. Kyrese Mullen is their big, who averages 9 rebounds and 7.5 rebounds and 9 points per game. But I'm really not all that impressed with the Pirates. I do think William & Mary is the better basketball team, led by Noah Collier, is averaging 13 points. Gabe Dorsey averaging 12 as well. But again, what the Tribe have been able to do in CAA play this year has been impressive. Again, 4-0 in conference play this season, beating Hofstra on the road by 18 points, beating Stony Brook on the road in New York by 7 points, beating Elon at home by 13, and then beating North Carolina A&T by 3. Again, they've been finding ways to win basketball games. Not in conference, sure. They weren't the greatest, but if you want to share a common opponent, hell, William & Mary was able to beat Norfolk State earlier in the season, and Hampton lost them. And I get it. The Spartans have been very good to us this year at the MEAC. Norfolk, I believe they lost the game recently, though, right? They lost at Morgan State. Oh, that's embarrassing. They play Howard next. When's that game? They don't play for another week? 9 days? We'll get back to you with Norfolk State. I think they beat Howard. Howard's undefeated right now in the MEAC, but trust me, Norfolk State's the better basketball team. I think William & Mary, again, though, is just better than Hampton. I think it's slightly mispriced. -2.5. Again, I really feel like William & Mary is the better basketball team. I don't think them going on the road makes too much of a difference here. William & Mary -2.5. I don't mind the line at all, and that's why we're picking it, obviously. I just think the Tribe is the better basketball team. Noah Collier will have his nights where he will just go off and score 20 plus. I feel like this is one of those nights right now. Hampton really doesn't blow me away with anything that they have, so give me the William & Mary Tribe on the road to remain undefeated in CAA play so far this season and go on the road and beat the Hampton Pirates. Let's go on to our third best bet of the video as we now head to a game between Lindenwood and Southern Indiana here in Evansville, Indiana. We've got the Screaming Indiana Southern. The Southern Indiana Screaming Eagles, who are 1-5 in the Ohio Valley this season. They are 6-10 as a whole this year, and they are favored to beat Lindenwood. I don't understand. I really don't get it. Now, I take all my odds off of ESPN Bet. I'll show you guys how I get odds daily. Again, I use ESPN, so with that, I'll use ESPN Bet for odds. Now, this game is nowhere to be found on ESPN's odds page for right now, and I'm recording this video at 2:17 in the morning. So, again, this video will be out in 7 hours from when I'm recording this, but it's nowhere to be found, the odds for this. The only place I've been able to find the odds is right here. ESPN does have a line, on the schedule. USI -1.5. The money line odds that I have for this game, it's an estimate, -120 Southern Indiana, +100 Lindenwood. That's an estimate for that. But again, ESPN has USI -1.5. Personally, guys, if that's actually the line for this game, I think it's incredibly mispriced. I really think it is. I think Lindenwood is a much better basketball team than Southern Indiana. And it's not that I'm blown away by the Lions. I'm really not. They actually have not won a game on the road so far this year in Ohio Valley play. I believe. Yeah, they're 0-3 on the road, aren't they? Yeah, that's not great. But, hear me out. Southern Indiana's so horrible, guys. So we started the year fading the Screaming Eagles a lot. We faded them in a game against Bucknell that I remember very vividly. I remember Noah Williamson clutching that one up for us with Bucknell as Bucknell went to Evansville to the Screaming Eagles Thunderdome to play that basketball game. But again, Southern Indiana has not been good this year. They're 6-10. 2 of their victories come against East-West University and Shawnee State. Their other wins are Bellarmine, South Dakota, the Indiana State Sycamore, shout out Larry Bird, and Tennessee State. But, guys, the Screaming Eagles have not won a game in 2025 yet. They've lost 5 in a row, dating back to December 21st, where they lost to UT Martin in a game where, I kid you not, they put up 46 points. In a conference game, they put up 46 points, lost 77-46. They then proceeded to lose to Morehead State by 2 points at home. And by the way, the UT Martin game was at home. They put up 46 points and lost by 30 at home in Evansville. Ridiculous, okay? Then they go on again to lose to Morehead at home. They go to Tennessee Tech, who they've got an incredible logo. It's great. They go to Tennessee Tech and lose. They go to Southeast Missouri State, lose by 11 points, who I believe that's who Elon's playing today, if I'm not mistaken. I think. No, wait, wrong conference. I'm tripping. And then they go to Little Rock and lose by 20 points. Who the hell is Elon playing today? They're playing someone, obviously. Drexel. They're playing the Drexel Dragons. I thought about doing Elon on the road, but then I was like, nah, we'll stay away from that. So anyways, the Screaming Eagles have not been that good this season. They just haven't. They're led by Jalen Randall, who's averaging 15.5 points per game for them this season. But Jalen Randall hasn't played since December 31st against Morehead. He's their best player who has not been active. And I'm pretty sure he's not playing this game either. So that just makes the Screaming Eagles even worse. They have not won a game without Randall in the lineup, a guy who, for the most part, usually leads them in scoring. So that, again, just takes another element away from the Screaming Eagles team, which, again, it makes it weird for me looking at this line saying, oh, Southern Indiana's favored to win. I really don't understand. Honestly, I don't know why Southern Indiana's favored to win the basketball game. I get it. Lindenwood 8-9 this year, 3-3 in conference, but they really feel like the better basketball team. Their losses in conference are not nearly as bad as Southern Indiana's. We'll go through their Ohio Valley play so far this season. They played Tennessee Tech in their first game at home. They lose by 6 points. They beat the Leathernecks of West Illinois by 6. They go on the road to East Illinois, lose in overtime by 4 points. They lose to SIU Edwardsville. Defensive basketball game, they lose 58-47. It is what it is. Back-to-back wins though at home against Tennessee State and UT Martin. Okay, yes, they've been at home a lot so far this year for Ohio Valley play. They have not won on the road just yet, but this has got to be the game where they do it. Again, we're looking at the odds here. We get +1.5 for Lindenwood. I'll take that all day long. Sure, Lindenwood does not have one guy, again, you're going to look at and say, oh, wow, this guy's going to drop, a bunch of points. But again, Aeneas Futrell is their guy. He's a 6'5" shooting guard for them. He averages 13.5. Markeith Browning averages 13.5 as well. Jadis Jones averages 11. I just feel like the Lions are the better basketball team. And again, I've watched Southern Indiana this year. They're not that great of a basketball team, and they weren't that good with their best player in Jalen Randall in the lineup. You take away Randall, what is Southern Indiana then? Right? So that's why personally I'm confused why they're the favorites in this basketball game. I get they are at home, but what makes them favored to win this one? Oh, Lindenwood hasn't won on the road this year? Okay, they're gonna have to go to the daunting environment that is the Screaming Eagles Arena in Evansville, Indiana. I mean, seriously, give me Lindenwood in this spot. I think they're able to go on the road and win this one fairly easily. Again, I just feel like this one's, again, when I was looking at the odds, I was just like, something feels off. I don't know why Southern Indiana's favored to win this basketball game with their best players still out. So give me Lindenwood to go on the road and get this one done. I think the Lions win their 4th game in Ohio Valley play here in 2025. Again, Southern Indiana still looking for their first win in about 4 weeks. Move on to our next one. We had to get some Big Ten action in for today. We go to Evanston, Illinois for the Northwestern Wildcats taking on the Maryland Terrapins. Give me Maryland on the road. Yeah, give me Maryland. Northwestern's been slumping, right? You look at the Big Ten. Now, again, 6 games into Big Ten play, we have a better understanding of the Big Ten as a whole. This is the conference I probably watched the most out of any conference in college basketball this year. I watch the Mountain West quite a bit. I do love me some Mountain West basketball. Utah State, what are we doing? But hey, all my Lobo people out here, we're back. All right, New Mexico loses to San Jose State, but then hey, all right, Utah State loses to UNLV. Didn't want that to happen, but hey, we're back up. We're back up with the Lobos. Let's go, Donovan Dent, Nelly Jr. Joseph. We're back. Anyways, they returned back to the pit, I believe, on Saturday. Northwestern, again, I watched the Big Ten quite a bit. Now I think we have a very good understanding of where the Big Ten's at this season. I think we know who the really good teams are. Obviously, we're talking about the Illinois, the Purdue, the Michigan State, the Oregon sometimes. And then we know who just the bad teams are. Minnesota, obviously. Washington, obviously. And then there's like, all right, Penn State's not great. They underperform a lot. Ohio State, Rutgers, UCLA, and then there's just the teams in the middle of the pack, right? Indiana, I can't put Indiana in the middle of the pack. They're just horrible. Wisconsin, Iowa, USC, like Nebraska. Those are the middle of the pack teams. Again, I might have forgotten a couple teams. Then there's Northwestern, right? Then there's Northwestern. Oh, Maryland, middle of the pack too. I don't know if I mentioned them earlier. Northwestern, I don't know, man. The one time I bet against Northwestern this season, well, the one time we lost in betting against Northwestern this year, they found a way to beat Illinois. They have not won a Big Ten game since. They've not. They looked unstoppable in that game. Martinelli played a great game for the Wildcats that game. And really, Northwestern has not looked all that good since. They beat Georgia Tech. They beat a crappy DePaul team. They beat Northeastern. But then so far in 2025, they're 0-3. They lose to Penn State on the road. They lose to Purdue on the road. And they welcomed in Michigan State, and the Spartans beat them up. Now again, Martinelli is that guy for Northwestern. He averages 20 points a game. In the Michigan State game, he put up 27. It was his best performance since the DePaul victory on the 21st of December. But again, you can rely on Nick Martinelli to put up some points for Northwestern. Again, it is a little bit dependent on his shooting, but Martinelli is going to get his points, right? It's just the rest of the team. Brooks Barnes is good as well. But when you take away those two guys, and I guess, again, you dig a little bit deeper into like Jalen Leach and company, right? But past Jalen Leach, Barnzer, and Nick Martinelli, what the hell is this team? I mean, you get Nicholson, who's their center, but again, it's just they don't get much production outside of those three guys. I think the all-around better basketball team is the Maryland Terrapins. Now, Maryland didn't cover for us in our last game. They had Minnesota at home, and they didn't blow out the Golden Gophers, which is unfortunate because it feels like everybody should blow out the Golden Gophers here in the Big Ten. I have come up with the proposition I think Minnesota should go to the Summit League. They play much more competitive basketball against St. Thomas, Minnesota, South Dakota State, and North Dakota State. I think it'd be and hell, Omaha, Nebraska is playing good basketball this year as well. That'd be a much more competitive balance for Minnesota. They should go to the Summit League. They should get demoted. We should bring up the winner of the Summit League next year and just send Minnesota back down. Actually, no, I don't need to see North Dakota State get killed by all these teams next year, or St. Thomas, or South Dakota State if they can get stuff together. They won't. It's just pissing me off. Oscar Clough, what are we doing? Anyways, Maryland didn't do the job for us the other day against Minnesota. That's fine. All we need them to do in this game is win. They just, go on the road and win, which they haven't done this year in the Big Ten. They're 0-3 on the road in the Big Ten. I get it, but hear me out, okay? Their losses on the road are Purdue. It's tough to go into West Lafayette and win. And then it was their West Coast trip. They go to UW. Okay, they lose that game to Washington. It's the only Big Ten basketball game Washington's ever won in their school history right now. That's bad. I get it. But then, okay, they go to Oregon, they're competitive, but they lose. They've been competitive in every Big Ten game that they played this season. Whether it's either they win the game outright or they play a competitive game and lose. I think they play a competitive game here at Northwestern, and I think they win. Again, the Wildcats have just been ice cold. Sure, they played competitively against Penn State. They were somewhat competitive, kind of, against Michigan State. Again, the Spartans pulled away, and Purdue really just manhandled them on the 5th of January. But I just feel like Maryland's a better basketball team. Again, they're the more complete team. We're talking about guys like Derek Queen. We're talking Jacoby Gillespie. We're talking Julian Reese. We're talking Rodney Rice. I feel like they are the more complete team. Sure, again, they rely a lot just on their starting lineup, but hell, I feel like the starting lineup for Maryland is better than Northwestern. I feel like Northwestern's is really built around Barnzer and Martinelli. I am going to take Maryland to go on the road here. I think they finally break through, and I think part of this, again, is Northwestern. They played a miracle game earlier in the year when they beat Illinois at home in overtime, and also they've just been ice cold. So we're going to take the team in Maryland, who's coming off a big victory in their last game over 2 games ago against UCLA. They beat Minnesota after that. We've picked a lot of Maryland basketball recently, and we're going to continue to do it here. It's going to be Maryland to beat Northwestern. Unrelated, I think Mike Woodson deserves to be fired. Just saying. Shout out the student section at Assembly Hall the other night. Fire Mike Woodson. It's much needed. Let's go into our final game of the video. We go to the late night game, and this game starts at 11:59 on the East Coast, but yes, technically it is still a basketball game here on Thursday. Let's go to Honolulu. We've got the Cal State Northridge Matadors going on the road to take on the Hawaii Rainbow Warriors. I really like this line for Hawaii. -3.5, sign me up. I like it a lot. Hawaii's at home here. They should blow Cal State Northridge out. Guys, CSUN's lost back-to-back basketball games. I get it. They play the best team in the Big West in UCI, and the Big West is a very good conference this season that deserves to get 2 bids in the college basketball tournament. In March Madness, obviously, Irvine's going to be an automatic 7 seed, and I think UCSD should get an at-large this season. Again, we just got to see how UCSD finishes out their year, but Irvine, man, I'm just saying, Irvine might make a run in the tourney this year. The Anteaters are that damn good. They are 21.5-point favorites tonight against Cal State Fullerton. 21.5. I don't want to pick it because they could win the game by 20 and we don't cover. But man, I'm all over Irvine this season. They are great. I told you guys at the beginning of the season how good Irvine is. They are everything that we've been saying they are. Okay, everything. Anyways. CSUN goes on the road to Hawaii. So there's always a problem with teams going to Hawaii. This is the first game I think we've covered all year long in Big West play with teams going to Hawaii, but no one's, again, UCSB beat Hawaii on the road, but UCSB, they are the clear, I think, 3rd best team in the conference right now, obviously because of their win against Hawaii. I think, again, if I rank the Big West, I'm going to rank the top 4. Irvine, UCSB, then Hawaii, and then we just get to everybody else. Maybe you give CSUN a look. Maybe you give that cesspool known as UC Riverside a look. I don't know. I don't know, Davis and Pauley play today. I thought about taking Davis on the road. That was my other one I was thinking about, but I can't confidently tell you the Aggies are going to win a basketball game at St. Louis Obispo. But Cal Poly's 0-6 this year in conference. So, like, I think Davis should get that. I don't know. I don't feel good enough to put in the video, but if you want a 6th bet today, sure. UCD on the road at Cal Poly. That's an unofficial bet, though, okay, if you're keeping track at home. Hawaii's been good, right? Again, UCSB went in there and beat them, but Cal Poly went in there, Hawaii beat them by 13 points. And then Hawaii went on the road, they went to California, beat that cesspool UC Riverside by 7 points, good victory, and beat Fullerton by 9 as well. So I think Hawaii's playing good basketball right now. And again, it's the whole factor, right? Cal State Northridge has got to come all the way to Hawaii to play them, and CSUN's lost back-to-back games to Irvine and Bakersfield. Their wins in the Big West this season are Davis, Fullerton, and Pauley, but they did also lose to that absolute cesspool known as UC Riverside earlier in the year. And again, I need to stop hating on the cesspool, but again, UCR is the benchmark for me in the Big West, at least in terms of basketball, right? If you lose to UCR, I can't take you seriously. I really can't. I think UCR is absolutely abysmal. Not just the school itself. I think the basketball team's not that great. Again, they're not as bad as the bottom tier of the Big West. Again, I hate on Riverside too much. It is what it is. But if you're losing to Riverside, I don't know. Like, again, I can't treat you as a serious contender in the Big West if you lose to Riverside. Trust me, I watched Riverside play Santa Clara this year. They're not good. They are built just around their center, who I know statistically might not be great, but trust me, watching them in person, their center is the best player. The rest of the team is not that good. UCR, they really struggle to shoot. They don't play defense. They're not good. They get outsized in every game, at least in every position. Even their center tries, trust me, he's their best player, but like they are just outsized on the court. CSUN's led by Marcus Adams. He averages 15.5. Scotty Washington. I just think Hawaii's better. Again, going to Hawaii and winning is going to be difficult. It just is. Tanner Christensen's been good all year. And I think Hawaii gets this one done. We get -3.5. I'm fine with that. Again, I saw them play Cal Poly. They look great. I get it. CSUN's better than Poly, but still, I think Hawaii is able to win this one. This is a Hawaii team that went on the road again to California and dropped 83-95 in back-to-back games. They've shown capability of winning in the States, and obviously, again, it is much harder trying to play Hawaii on the time difference in Honolulu. I think the Rainbow Warriors get CSUN in this game, and I think they cover the 3.5 points as well. So, folks, that'll do it for our 5 best bets for college basketball here on Thursday, January 16th. If you haven't yet, though, make sure to hit that subscribe button down below for some more daily college basketball content here on the channel. Make sure to join us in an hour for NBA predictions as well. Folks, thank y'all for watching, and Mamba forever.